Tuba and accordion music, and we like sort of instrumental, circus sounding European mixed with American pop favorite covers.
Played at the Brauhaus and then the Steinhaus for about 14 years, so that was one stage, two different owners. I also ended up getting a lot of gigs that were I like to call them strolling gigs, which were, you know, instrumental gigs in outdoor venues or artsy things like galleries or library outreach events. I also would play when we were trying to book on our own and travel and book. We would play somewhat like sort of punk venues that were you know, like out of the mainstream and really wanted to see something that was very different, because we could certainly dish that up as well. And we took the kids, the instruments, and 4 rolling bags. We bought Amtrak passes and spent 45 days on the rails. We made 18 stops in that amount of time in 45 days, and everywhere we stopped, we had a gig. We would stop from usually 1 to 2 days, every now and then a little bit longer, where we knew some people. And that was just a non-stop tour with all kinds of, that had all of the above in terms of libraries and nursing homes and coffee shops and punk venues, you know, warehouses,
backyard barbecues,
backyards, and
playing on the street,
you know, fine dining restaurants. We did it all on that tour. So it's KUHS LP. LP stands for low power. It's at 102.5 FM. It's the only solar powered radio station in Arkansas. Low power stations were licensed by the FCC as a reaction to the Telecommunication Consolidation Act of 1996, where you saw a lot of major conglomerations buy up a bunch of frequencies and program them centrally, and you saw a great reduction in community involvement in the media, in the local media. So they invented this low power thing where they put little tiny stations slotted in between all the big stations in any market. And we are all volunteer run. We've got approximately 70 DJs at any time. Most shows are about 2 hours, so if you don't like the one you hear now, try us back in 2 hours, so it's going to be someone else on. We are largely music, but we do have some talk. We've got Checked Out, hosted by the staff of the library. And we try to, we stream at kuhsradio.org. And we try to, instead of consuming outside media and then rebroadcasting it locally, we try to generate new stuff, and then hopefully as we send it out into the wider world, someone else can learn a little something about Hot Springs. 24/7, 365. As long as the sun shines, we're on air. And even some hours when it's not shining.
We had this building, and we had bought it because it was full of pianos, and it seemed like we should have it because we're musicians. And over the course of learning what it really takes to renovate a commercial building, we realized we had to put something in here that would generate a positive cash flow. So we love to cook, we like to brew beer, we love to entertain people. So we chose to open a pizza restaurant.
We make everything by hand, everything's made from scratch, and we use a sort of, you might call it a New York style, slow fermented dough, hand tossed, topped up, cooked on a hot stone in the oven. And it's, you know, for me, it's a real simple thing. Pizza's doesn't have to be very exciting, it just has to be done well, and we try to do that. Cheryl gave me some equipment for my birthday one year and said, we should learn how to brew. And so I did. and ended up really liking the beer I brewed. And once we were conceiving of what we were going to dump into the building, it seemed logical to go ahead and put in a microbrewery. I had a real knack for brewing. The market's right for it. It's a growing segment, especially in this state. It hasn't quite reached brewery saturation yet. So it just seemed like and then of course beer and pizza. How can you go wrong with that?